I was upset because I had no idea why this became such a problem. But I think, all I really wanted him to be in the end was just happy.
Hey, it's Julie. Welcome to Uncomfy, a show about sticking with moments that challenge us. It seems like every single day I get some tough feedback or hear a perspective I disagree with, or just find myself outside of my comfort zone. And the natural reaction is to bail or lash out. But if I do that right away, I might miss a chance to learn something or feel new empathy or just deepen a relationship. So the question's how, right? How to stick with that discomfort just a little bit longer. Well, that's what this podcast is about. Real people telling real stories of choosing to stay open and curious in challenging moments. I'm glad you're here. Now, let's get uncomfy. How do we handle the discomfort of aging? I'm joined by Scottie Gassner. He calls himself a functional aging specialist. He is a personal trainer as well as a life coach. Most of the clients he works with are older, and he's host of the podcast Just Be with Scottie G. Hey there, Scottie.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is so awesome. I'm always doing my podcast. I never get to really go on other people's podcasts. So I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
It is always fun to turn the tables. And, aging is definitely one of these things that is creating more and more uncomfy experiences. For me personally, I turned 50 in the last year, and I just went to my annual physical, and it was like all of a sudden they had flipped to a new chapter. All of the questions I was used to getting from the nurse before the doctor came to see me were different. Now it was like old people questions they were asking me. And I noticed that even with my siblings who were all sort of in that same age range, it's now more and more the thing that we're talking about, struggling to adapt to bodies behaving differently, things falling apart, and it's hard to kind of find the right approach to that. What has your experience been personally, Scottie?
Well, change is inevitable, right? And we all fear it. But it's happening, and aging is it's a changing, right? And like you said, like it's like, oh man, I got to 50 and then all these things change. I remember at 40 when I lost like my eyesight, like when that was like, and so it's always going to be uncomfortable. But the more you lean into it, the better it feels. And it's like I've always described it as like free falling. Like I guess if you were like, skydiving, it's like this peacefulness that's happening at the same time that you're falling, you know what I mean? And leaning into how uncomfortable that fear must feel.
Is there a client you've worked with that has really shaped the way you think about aging?
I think that as long as I've been doing this, I've had many clients that have had an impact on what I do, but probably the one that I would say has had the biggest impact is my client Dave. I mean, he's the first and only client I've ever had die under my care. And I worked for him from the time he was 79 until he passed of old age at 91, right? But that relationship specifically impacted me in two different ways. Dave had only started working out in the second half of his life. He had smoked up until like he was like 44 years old or something like that. And so there was already a lot of damage done, like as far as like lung wise and stuff like that, So I had to make a new playbook. I didn't even have a playbook really for this, like, you know what I mean? Because all the clients I'd worked with, I had just done basically what you would call like traditional strength training. We didn't stretch very much. We do like crunches for our abs, and like, it was just the basic, most traditional thing you can think, like, because I worked in a big box gym, and nothing against that. I learned a lot being there too, but we have this idea of what health and fitness and physical fitness is, and then there's the actual practical use of it when you're 79 and what that looks like. So I changed. I tested a lot of stuff on Dave, and now my clients benefit from all that.
You said there was a second thing that you learned from working with him.
So, I mean, and this was probably more uncomfortable than like working with him, right? Is it changed the relationship and how I view my parents and how I view their aging in front of me. So there's a specific story, okay, with Dave that reminds me of this whole thing. And this is what I'm going through with my parents right now. Sorry, mom and dad, if you see this. I bought Dave, this is for his 90th birthday. I bought him a pillow, this big body pillow, and I got him a blanket. All right. This is like within the year that he passed, because he passed in that year, right?
Mm.
So I buy him this pillow and the blanket, and we give him to him at the birthday party, and he's so excited. And he's like, "Oh, that's exactly what I wanted," and all this stuff. So I go to see him our next appointment. And when I get to the door, he goes, he goes, "Take this pillow and take this blanket, and you need to return it." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "I don't know. This pillow won't stay on the bed." And then he's like, "The blanket is too small." Now, mind you, the blanket is folded up in one of those plastic kind of zip bags, and it's got the cardboard on the inside. So he definitely did not open it and refold it. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. I don't understand what the problem is, and it made me realize that those things they don't matter in those moments where it's a preference, you know what I mean? And we all have our preferences. And as we get older, we feel like everything's going out of control. The things that you I don't want to say allow your parents to control, but just let them have it. Like, it doesn't matter.
Tell me a little more about this moment. So you show up and he's like, he told you he loved it the day before, and now all of a sudden he's like, "This is wrong, take it back." And your reaction then in that moment was, I mean, what was your gut telling you? Like, you wanted to sort of be like, "Explain yourself. This doesn't make any sense,"
I
right?
I mean, I'll be completely I was angry. Like, I
Yeah.
I was I was upset because I had no idea why this became such a problem. But I think, retrospectively looking at that, saying that he passed away within the year, I think those things got harder and harder and more difficult, and things become more irritating and stuff like that. And like, all I really wanted him to be in the end was just happy. And so Dave's moment taught me how important that is, to do that for my parents. And like, no matter how hard it is, like, it's so important to be the glue and the love and the grace and the space for your parents in those years, because things are getting so difficult, especially if they haven't taken care of themselves mentally, physically, metaphysically, with purpose of why they want to be. Like, if they're not doing those things, it's that much more difficult.
Grace and space are two really powerful words you just referenced there. And I'm having lots of flashbacks in this moment. I confess to the last couple of years of my mother's life, as my siblings and I were trying to care for her as things were falling apart in her health. And there were so many moments where I faced that same frustration. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you're not doing the thing that could make you feel better. Or why are you obsessing about this tiny little thing and calling me about this all the time? And it doesn't matter. Like, it would just be, I would feel so frustrated. And it would really, sometimes it would affect my ability to show her love, and in hindsight and in moments when I could sort of be quiet and see her through a more compassionate lens, I could see that she was just, so many things were feeling out of control, like you mentioned a second ago, Scottie, or that she was in pain. She was just constantly in pain and losing some of her cognition, and it was just really disorienting. And it's maybe the largest regret that I have about both my mom and my dad before they passed, was that I wasn't more compassionate with them more often in those moments.
I was going to say, I think when we lose any person that we love and we care about at any point, we always look back and go, "Man, I really wish I would have done better," right? Like, or, shown more compassion or whatever. And so I feel like with my parents, I really try hard to be present with them. Like, my parents are in their 70s. And so when you go over to their home, it's like when you go over to a 7-year-old's home, there's not a lot of stuff going on. And it's real easy to want to get on your phone and just be like, "Well, let's see what's on social media," or blah, 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 whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
purposely like kind of just either leave my phone in the car or turn it off. And I go, even sometimes as painful as the conversations get, because I get into conversations I don't really want to be in sometimes. You know what I mean? That's real uncomfortable. But I go, she's talking to me. And when she's gone, I'll be wishing I could be uncomfortable with my mom. I'll be wishing that that I could be in that weird conversation again. And it makes me not, I want to say take everything so seriously, but it makes me be more present in the moment and not in my emotions and feelings about how I feel about that moment. I'm just there with her. And like Dave did that for me. He gave me that gift. It's one of the greatest gifts I've ever received.
It's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that, Scottie. Are you thinking about your own aging differently
Oh
as a
yeah.
result?
Oh yeah. Like, because I know if I could look and feel this good at 99, if I could look and feel this good at 100, because I mean, I'm approaching 50. I don't feel as good as I did when I was 40. And I understand that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so I gotta, my mind, my body, my purpose for being here has to always be at the forefront of what I do, because that's how I show up for everybody else. That's how that, when my body feels good, I treat others good.
So are there any specific things, like what are some of the things that you're doing to try to feel as good as you feel today when you are 80 or 90?
So like, I kind of have this like kind of theory of like learn, serve, create, right? And so always be learning, always be serving, always creating. How can I create an environment where I want to work out? What are the things I want to do? How can I create an environment that I mentally feel good in, that brings me some sort of satisfaction that's not financially based. It fills my soul in some way. And when you're doing those things, you feel like you have more control of your life, and the base part of your life allows you to focus more on your purpose. And serving and learning and serving support those, right? Finding something that you're like really passionate about, that feeds your soul, that also connects you to the bigger thing that is all of us. And that could be anything. It could be anything. It could be salsa dancing. It could whatever you want it to be, but you have to find something that isn't based on like numbers and monetary values. The value is the actual activity of doing it, and I think when you do those things, those basic kind of things, you're setting yourself up to age well. But we want to jump to the easy pill, or the thing that's going to fix it. And really, it takes time and work and all that.
Scottie G is a functional aging specialist. He's a life coach and a personal trainer, combines all of the aspects of aging well. And he's host of the podcast, Just Be with Scottie G. Thanks a lot for your time today, for sharing your story.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And thank you for getting uncomfy with us today. That conversation turned a little more personal than I was expecting when we started out, thinking about my parents and about coping with their aging. And it really is an opportunity for stick with it moments, right? Kind of lean into how we can stay open and curious and loving in moments like that. I'd love to hear how that's going for you. If you have a story to share or a challenge you'd like to share, be in touch. uncomfy@byu.edu is the email address, or find us on social media. And in the meantime, check out my other podcast, Top of Mind. We actually did a whole episode about aging and different ways that we can reimagine our approach to aging so that we don't dread it like we so often tend to do. We'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. That podcast is Top of Mind with Julie Rose. Uncomfy is a BYU radio podcast. Samuel Benson produces it, and the team includes Enrique Prado, James Hoops, and Sam Payne. Our theme music was composed by Kelsey Ney. I'm Julie Rose. Can't wait to get uncomfy with you again next week. Hey friends, if you are on the lookout for another awesome podcast, check out Constant Wonder. It's also from the BYU Radio Network. It's hosted by my friend Marcus Smith, and it is like embarking on an exhilarating journey through captivating stories about our magnificent natural world. As you listen, you'll gain profound insights into different facets of our planet. You'll discover more about nature. I've learned about whales and bees and nematodes from listening to Constant Wonder. And you might even find yourself pondering your own connection to the wonders of this earth. So, wherever you usually get your podcasts, do yourself a favor and go check out Constant Wonder from BYU Radio.